Hello and welcome to Levant TV Headlines. Commanders from the US-led coalition against Islamic State jihadists are to meet in Washington today to discuss halting the group's advance as airstrikes fail to stop militants from reaching the center of Kobani. The United Nations says that it has started cutting the food aid it provides to 4.2 million Syrians ravaged by war because of a shortfall in funding. British lawmakers have voted overwhelmingly in favour of recognising Palestine as a state in a non-binding motion heavy with symbolism but unlikely to change government policy. US Secretary of State John Kerry is to hold surprise talks in Paris with his Libyan counterpart amid growing international concern over the turmoil flourishing in the North African nation. And Yemeni rebels have captured the Red Sea city of Hodeida, home to the country's second most important port, just weeks after seizing the capital. Now let's take a look at the top headlines in today's newspapers in the Middle East. Starting in Lebanon, the Daily Star leads reporting that in a rare visit to the Bekaa, Hezbollah leader Saeed Hassan Nasrallah has vowed to defeat terrorist groups while warning Israel that he stood ready for any confrontation despite the battle against extremists. The paper also reports that Iran's foreign ministry has warned Saudi Arabia that comments calling it part of the problem in the Middle East may damage diplomatic ties. The Egypt Independent leads reporting that the Ministry of Health has opted for 5 medical firms for the production of Sovaldi, the US-made hepatitis C tablets, without conducting a tender beforehand. The paper also reports that, according to the Antiquities Minister Mamdouh al-Damati, Egypt will see the first phase of its first comprehensive civilization museum finished by late November. And from the UAE, the Khalij Times leads reporting that Kurdish fighters engaged in fierce clashes with ISIS militants on the Turkish border near Kobani, as Ankara denied allowing Washington to use its bases against the ISIS group. The paper also reports that hundreds of thousands of workers in England's state-run National Health Service went on strike yesterday for the first time since 1982, following the government's rejection of an across-the-board pay rise. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines from UK papers. The Guardian leads its Middle East news reporting that former Tory Minister Sir Alan Duncan says Israel's settlements in the West Bank amount to a wicked cocktail of occupation and illegality, a system akin to apartheid South Africa that brings shame on the Israeli government. The paper adds that the former International Development Minister said supporters of settlements should be regarded as extremists. The Independent leads its Middle East news reporting that a new report by Amnesty International has found that Shia militias in Iraq are abducting and killing Sunni civilians in apparent revenge for ISIS attacks. The paper adds that the charity says the militias believed to be behind the killings are supported and armed by the Iraqi government and operate with impunity. And the Telegraph reports that Turkish jets bombed targets in the southeast of Turkey, where members of the Kurdistan Workers' Party are based, the first strikes on the outlawed group since a 2013 ceasefire. Now let's take a look at the top Middle East headlines in international papers. From China, the Global Times leads its Middle East news reporting that Israel allowed the first shipment of construction raw material in the Gaza Strip to start a reconstruction process that will be funded by international donors. And finally, Germany's Deutsche Welle reports that Turkish sources and officials from the Prime Minister's office have denied reports that Ankara had given permission to Washington to use its air bases, particularly that of Incirlik in southern Turkey, to launch strikes on the extremist group Islamic State. The paper says that official added that negotiations were continuing. That was all for today. For more updates, please visit levant.tv. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.